Hello guys, good evening. Merry Christmas to each and everyone. We are live now here at Global TV Network and we are currently preparing some foods and dishes para sa mga bisita namin right outside. And what we have here, nandito yung brother ko, Alvin, and my sister-in-law, Angela.
Hello. Hi guys!
Magandang gabi. Merry Christmas! So, yung topic natin ngayon is about yung feast during Christmas. Diba, last Monday, we started with the idea kung paano tayo mag-feast o mag-celebrate ng safe, okay? But, Christmas na ngayon. And for sure, marami sa atin ang kumakain at nag-e-enjoy ng lahat-lahat ng mga pinaghandaan ng ating mga mahal sa buhay, and it is something na kailangan din natin i-savor at least once a year. So if you are following the tips of Clean and Lean December, also the year 2 of No Weight Gain December challenge that you can see in my own page. For those who are first-time watchers, my name is Dr. Josephine Grace Rojo. You are also known as the Diet Doctora. Hello, EJ. Maraming salamat for tuning in. Kindly share this to our group, Life Without Rice and Low Carb Feasting and Fasting Community. So if meron kayong mga tanong, especially if you are now with your family members, it's better that you can ask the questions right in the comment section, especially sa mga like si EJ na nagpa-fasting at yung mga mahal niya sa buhay ay nag-worry na para sa kanya. So if they have questions, para hindi sila mag-worry, feel free to ask them in our comment section at masasagot natin yan. And for those of you, go! Merong mga pagkain lumalabas na from the kitchen. So that is Dr. Andy Manggubat, one of our housemates here. So, doon sila sa labas kasi nasa garden ata yung parties mamaya. So, sa mga hindi naman nagtatanong, we will actually talk about the feast during Christmas. So, ano ba ang feast? If alam natin mga pagkain. So, we have lechon, we have our favorite na mga salads. I think my brother and my mom's favorite is chicken macaroni salad. And yung iba, for example, mga, ano pa bang favorite dishes? Spaghetti, ham, ano pa ang mga handa sa Noche Buena? Of course, may mga cakes, may mga Christmas cakes. But for us, since we are making donuts, so we have tower donuts in our tables, no? So, yon ang mga famous or alam nating mga pagkain. But if you break it down into macros, lahat ng pagkain na yan, it can be broken down into 3 major macros. So, that is the proteins, the fats, and the carbohydrates. Okay? So, we will talk about them one by one. Ano ang mangyayari kapag kinain mo sila isolated, isa-isa? Like, for example, carbs ng lahat, or proteins lahat, or fats ng lahat. And what will happen if you combine them all? So, greet muna tayo sa ating mga naka-online, mga currently live. So, si Jessa, hello, Merry Christmas. M. Sanchez, Merry Christmas din po. And Sharon Roldan. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will share this first with our other groups and our pages para yung mga followers natin doon, they will know that we are already live. And sorry pala, by the way, na medyo na late tayo kasi alam niyo naman, Christmas is a little like an extra lazy day. Like for me, it's an extra lazy day. It's because hindi ko kailangan gumising ng sobrang maaga. Okay? So, as you can see, basa pa yung buhok ko. So, I just took a bath. So, hindi ako nakaligo since morning. But I rushed na sa mga gawain and everything. So, that's Tyron John. And Ayeng. Hello, Ayeng. Thank you so much. Princess. Merry Christmas. I'm so proud of Princess. Grabe talaga. And I'm glad you are part of the group now. And, of course, Limwell, Gatchalian Mabalay. Happy Christmas. Happy Christmas indeed. And Rachel Grace Angit. Thank you so much. I-share muna natin to in our page so that malaman nila. Thank you pala to all of our followers kasi they are already been very active and been sharing all our posts at ang ating mga kailangang mga isa-share na mga info and health tips. It's good that we share, no? Kasi hindi kailangan ipagdamot Dahil hindi yan makakabuti para sa ating lahat. It's good, it's better, it's good if we are healthy, if we are living a healthy life, but it's even better if we share it with others, and it's the best kapag kasama natin yung loved ones natin, okay? So, share natin sa kabila natin sa ating page. Thank you so much, Global TV Network, and of course, Sir Norwin for giving us this slot. It's twice a week, Monday, 5:30 p.m. and Fridays, 5:30 p.m. Okay? Merry Christmas to each and everyone. Merry Christmas! Live na tayo. Okay, so ngayon, what we will talk about is the macros during Christmas season. At hindi lang actually Christmas season. Kasama na din yung day-to-day natin na way of eating. So what will happen if you eat carbohydrates alone? Ano ba ang carbohydrates? So carbohydrates is usually composed in layman's term, no? Sa mga alam natin with our household. Mas maganda kasi meron tayong specific example kung anong pagkain ito. Kasi for some, it may sound very technical, like carbohydrates, parang science and nutrition subject lang. However, in simpler terms, ano yung carbohydrates? Yung pinaka-common for us Filipinos and for us Asians is rice, no? Kanin. Carbohydrates is rice. It is a complex carbohydrates, meaning komplikado siya. It can be broken down into simpler forms. Ano ang simplest form ng carbohydrates? It is sugar or glucose, okay? So, glucose yung end na pupuntahan nila. For example, another form of carbohydrates would be fruits, which is usually composed of fibers and merong mga vitamins and minerals, but meron din itong fiber at mostly it is composed of fructose. So, ang fructose, I think combination siya ng sucrose and glucose, okay? But kapag nabe-breakdown siya, it will become glucose also, okay? So, yung katawan natin, kapag pinaprocess na niya yung mga pagkain sa ating mga kinakain natin, sometimes, most of the times, hindi niya na ito ma-differentiate. So, we may eat this hour rice, for example, ngayong oras kumain ka ng rice, and then the next hour, iinom ka ng tubig na may asukal lang or mga fruit juices. Those same times will actually will make you have elevated blood sugar. And that blood sugar will be coming both from rice and from table sugar or sa sugar na nasa mga fruit juices natin, which is very common. Hello AJ again. Merry Christmas. Ivy Chavez rather. Hello from Taguig City. Hello po. I wish sana open na yung airport soon and travel so we can easily visit each other coming back and forth, no? Kasi sayang na sayang that we are living in this beautiful country made up of more than 7,000 islands na bawal ang magbisita sa neighboring islands, no? But soon, I hope all of us during this pandemic, we get to appreciate what we have, and by the time it opens, we can maximize it more, okay? So, going back, yung carbohydrates na yon, the moment it is already in your body, it will become blood sugar, and kapag yung blood sugar na yon ay tumaas, umakyat, it will signal your pancreas. Yes, yung pancreas, yung para siyang letter L na organ na nasa tabi ng stomach natin. It will signal your pancreas to produce insulin. Okay? So, ang pinaka-purpose ng insulin during that initial phase is to make sure na yung mga extra glucose na nasa bloodstream natin, kasi yung glucose natin, supposedly, it should be less than 100. 70 to 100 milligrams per DL lang or per deciliter. Yun lang ang normal blood glucose. So, whenever you take in more than that, your body is increasing the secretion of insulin. Trigger niya na mag-secrete ng insulin ang iyong katawan to lower down your blood glucose para ma-maintain ang normal level. So, that is homeostasis, maintenance of or balancing out within our body. Kaya, hindi talaga designed by nature na parating mataas yung blood glucose. So, how much more ang insulin? Insulin is just a factor or is just a secondary effect na tumataas na sugar. That's why we have yung blood sugar natin and our insulin, yung metabolism nila, meron yan tawag natin negative feedback loop, okay? Yung negative feedback loop, isa siyang way of our body to make sure it maintains homeostasis. Kasi hindi sustainable kapag sige-sige na ang isang bagay ay nangyayari. So, especially if it's something anabolic or building up, no? So, insulin is the primary anabolic hormone that is common and that is very known to us kasi yun yung parating tumataas because of the sugar intake. We will appreciate that further as we discuss later. At kapag wala kayong tanong, bahala kayo dyan. I will talk about it more. But if you have questions, you are very much welcome to ask questions so that we can answer this in public together with our live viewers para lahat tayo ma-educate in one sitting. Kasi nasasayangan din ako, like, for example, in my page, maraming nagtatanong ng mga very intelligent questions. Sometimes it's very challenging questions na I have to read again, I have to make my own research again, I have to go back to my books, no? So, katabi ko dito yung mga books talaga. So, ang bibigat nila, ganito sila katangkad. So, there's 2 layers of them. Yung mabubunot ko lang dito is Clinically Oriented Anatomy, one of my favorite books ng med school kasi maraming pictures. Yan, so maganda yung Clinically Oriented Anatomy. Speaking of that, that's why before yung biochemistry, hindi ko siya masyadong favorite kasi wala siyang picture. Puro lang siya formula and chemical structure. But eventually, I learned to love it, I learned to appreciate it, and I learned the beauty of unbiased science because of biochemistry. Kasi yung biochemistry, walang bias yan. Walang marketing, walang kung ano-anong halong ulterior motive. It's just pure science. It's like, it's biochemistry by its word. Bio meaning life and chemistry. It's chemistry. The subject natin about chemical change, chemical structures, and all those chemical properties. But this one, talking about our own body, our bodily systems, no? The ones nga buhay. Okay, ika nga. So, before we proceed, I would like to say hi to Sharina. Sharina is one of our very active volunteers in Bayanihan Mission. I am yet to send your Christmas greetings and my thank you note to all of those who, grabe, unselfishly, no, nag-volunteers during those pandemic. Kaya nga sabi ko on those Christmas greeting card na those people who volunteered and shared a part of their time, a part of their resources, a part of their life, no, na in serving almost 100,000, more than 100,000 families, Filipino families during the initial part of the pandemic, no. You made people, you didn't just give time, you didn't just give money, you didn't just give gift pack or food packs, but you also provided hope and love for those who are very, very desperate during those times. So actually, namasko na kayo, even way before Christmas, and I'm very, very proud of all the people behind Bayanihan Mission, behind this, and Sharina is one of those. So thank you so much for tuning in. Na-miss ko din yung mga updates natin on sa ating mga gawain. Ronald Dimayuga for 2. Hello, Doc, Merry Christmas to everyone. Merry Christmas din po. And April Palma, of course, my very good friend from high school. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, going back, we are talking about the effect of eating sugar. So, iisa-isahin muna natin. Ano ang effect kapag kumain ka ng sugar alone, ha? Isolated. At ano naman ang effect kung kakain ka ng proteins alone. So, for example, karne, pagkarne ng baboy or itlog, yung white ng itlog, no? So, if you are on pure or very high protein diet, like yung mga bodybuilders natin, weightlifters, especially yung mga frequent gym goers, they are usually advised to eat high protein diet, okay? So, anong mangyayari kapag kumain ka ng proteins alone? At anong mangyayari kapag kumain ka ng fats alone? Okay? There's actually another fourth macronutrient. Yung macronutrient, yung tawag natin sa kanila, macronutrient yan because they are our possible energy sources, no? So, as you can see, hindi lang sugar ang energy source natin. Hindi tayo kailangan mag-sugar high all the time. These are macronutrients because these are the major group of nutrients that can provide us with energy that we need on a day-to-day basis and the necessary building blocks, no? Meaning yung mga kakailanganan natin to supply the necessary processes in our body. So, building blocks meaning panggawa, no? So, if our body is a building, Yung building blocks, yung mga hollow blocks. So, yun yung mga ingredients na kailangan natin kainin. So, proteins is a major building block. So, building block siya, materials siya. But the act of doing it, of processing it into a structure, like for example, gagawin mo siyang nails, or gagawin mo siyang extra skin, or gagawin mo siyang growing your beautiful hair. So, meron siyang kailangang support. And that support will be energy, and at the same time, other nutrients na makukuha natin sa vitamins and minerals. So, these are the three major macronutrients, namely, again, carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, yung simplest form is glucose or blood sugar. Proteins, so yung example natin, mga karne ng animal meats, and most common nuts, no, mga different kinds of nuts, and yung pinaka basic form niya is the amino acids. And we also have fats. So fats actually is quite complex. Marami silang types depending on the number of carbons, and then meron din tayong different kinds of fats. So fats, by definition, it's just that para siyang yung mga oily, yung masebo, yun in general terms. But it can be cholesterol, it can be an oil, it can be a steroid, it can be a sterol, no? So these are different kinds of fats, no? And meron actually tayong pang-apat na macronutrient. But it's just that hindi, or other source of energy na hindi lang natin masyadong dinidiscuss, because in the first place, it is not meant to be taken as much as possible. And if you do take it, it should be occasional lang. And this is alcohol. There is no proven scientific benefit yung alcohol per se. Okay? Yung alcohol talaga. Red wine, yes, it has an antioxidant effect primarily from the fermentation process, and it's the inert, the inert na nutrients na coming from grapes and fermentation. But the alcohol alone, if you isolate the alcohol alone, wala talaga siyang ganon na nutritional value. But I understand it can have a lot of life value for some, especially during special occasions like Christmas, like these days, these holidays, na mas iba yung enjoyment kapag umiinom. So, hindi ako umiinom, but I very much welcome people around me enjoying their time na merong with the company of some alcoholic beverages. As long as hindi lagay sa utak, 'di ba? Sa tiyan lang para iwas gulo. Kasi sa hospital, all I can see, no, yung mga pasyente namin, grabe talaga yung mga trauma, yung aside from accidents na walang pili, most especially yung mga nagmumotor. And of course, kahit sasakyan pa yan, accidents happen anytime. So, majority, 80 to 90%, all of them na involved, no, merong particularly involved with something to do with alcohol intake. So, as much as possible, and with troubles like malling na hindi mall na gala sa mall. Mall as in, punch, pag mo malling, M-A-U-L-I-N-G. So, malling and other forms of violence, mostly alcohol-related. So, that's why we will not talk much about alcohol, and we will focus on our three major macronutrients. So, yan, glucose or carbs, proteins, and fats. So, okay na tayo sa glucose. So, ang glucose, kapag tumaas yan, tataas din ang insulin mo. Your insulin, the primary effect niya, immediate effect niya, agad-agad, is pagpasok ng sugar, papasok sa cells. No? Cells, no? So, yung body natin, the moment we take it in, pupunta siya sa ating stomach. Pagkatapos ng stomach, ipaprocess yan, at marami diyang super maliliit na mga blood vessels. Diyan papasok ang mga nutrients. So, merong mga tawag dyan na mga microvascular na structures na so i-absorb niya at pupunta siya sa liver. And where sa liver, dun siya ipaprocess para maging readily available for distribution sa whole body natin. So, yung body natin is composed of many cells, no? So, your brain is composed of brain cells, your muscle is composed of muscle cells, and of course, yung taba natin is composed of adipose fat tissues or fat cells, okay? So, kapag tumaas yung glucose mo sa katawan, iti-try niya i-distribute. So, yung mga taong grabe yung mag-weightlifting or For those naman na hard labor talaga, sobrang marami yung mga pinapatong or ginagawa sa mga kailangan i-transfer, yung mga beloved natin na mga konduktor minsan, na pagod, mga construction workers, and mga delivery natin na crew. They are very much into heavy, hard work, no? Hard labor talaga. So, kapag kumain sila ng rice, active yung muscle cells nila. Immediately, kakainin yun, yung kukunin niya yung cells. So, magno-normalize pa din yung blood glucose niya sa katawan. Okay? So, that is good. However, eventually, hindi pwede nga, na, especially for those who are not into physical work, no? So, sobrang mga nakakapagod na hard labor, your extra glucose can actually raise your blood sugar more than normal. Another source of glucose consumption would be your brain. So our brain is one of those na meron talagang partly obligate glucose eater, no? Obligate glucose consumer. Ibig sabihin, hindi siya pwedeng mag-fully operate on ketones alone. Ketones is the byproduct of fat metabolism. Bunga siya ng pagko-convert ng fats into energy through the process of ketogenesis or lipolysis, okay? Breaking down of fats para gawing ketones, okay? So, yung brain natin, at least 30 to 35% is an obligate glucose user, okay? And kapag never ka pang nagka-ketosis, never ka pang fat adapted, whole life mo, nakadepend ka lang on glucose as a form of energy, hindi ka nagutom ni minsan, never ka nag-fast more than 24 hours. So, most likely, you've been glucose dependent your whole life. So, kapag magta-try ka ng low-carb diet for the first time, so meaning dine-deprive mo yung body mo ng usual dose niya of glucose, it will give you a set of symptoms na glucose withdrawal. So, kasi yung brain mo na 100% noon, sanay na glucose yung kinakain, for the first time in its life, life na maalala niya, para siyang ginugutom, okay? So, nagkakaroon ng symptoms na headache, no? Sumasakit yung ulo, sobrang sakit yung ulo, minsan yung iba hindi makatulog, insomnia, so yung pinaka-common, irritability, no? Sobrang mainitin ng ulo, so yung sinasabi nila, hindi nila kaya sabi nila hindi nila kayang walang rice, hindi nila kayang walang tinapay, or walang sugar sa kanilang kape, kasi they are always feeding on that part of the brain na sobrang glucose dependent or glucose addict, sugar addict na. But actually, kapag sinorpass mo yung first 2-3 days na yon, you will actually feel the benefit, no? Yung one of the readers ng books, no? Hindi siya makapaniwala. She is a close friend of my mom at siya yung head ng isang district government hospital dito in Negros. And for the first time, kinuwentohan ko siya, and I trust her intelligence, I trust her open-mindedness to be open, at least malang reading the book. Kahit hindi siya maniwala, but at least be open enough to read it and read it until the end and realize for herself kung meron point o wala. And I'm so proud of her na in a span of one night, naubos niya yung 3 books. Although yung iba, scan na lang. And right now, she is reading it more religiously, more in-depth na reading. And she told me na kahit libre yung pagkain sa hospital, 3 meals a day, nagsabi na siya na walang rice yung kakainin niya. At yung mga tao sa palibot nila, sa offices nila, hindi makapaniwala na hindi na siya kumakain ng rice. And siya mismo ay nagulat sa naramdaman niya, no? So, at for the first time, no, kahit first time siya nag-low carb, wala siyang episodes of headache, wala siyang episodes of irritability, of readiness, of those na parang dizzy siya or parang mainitin yung ulo niya, wala lahat. Because before pa siya nagsimula, the morning after reading the book, nabasa niya na. So, she has the right mindset. Alam niya what to expect with her body. Alam niya na hindi kailangan mag-snacks. Alam niya na morning snacks is not, morning breakfast rather, ay hindi kailangang early morning. Especially if you've had dinner. Kasi kapag kumain ka ng dinner, if magkakain ka ng breakfast, that is just actually 12 hours. So, at least, no, for some nga, 8 or 10 hours lang kasi bago matulog, uminom pa ng gatas, kumain pa ng isang bite ng cookies or kung ano man dyan. At yung iba, may midnight snacks pa. So, basically, nagpa-fast lang kapag natutulog lang talaga. So, as much as possible, kung hindi mo gustong gawin yan, hindi mo gustong ibaguhin yung nakasanayan mo, at least skip breakfast the next day. So, yung tita ko na yun na nakabasa, she's been very, very happy na at saka naka-prepare talaga siya kasi aside from reading, she also brought with her Himalayan salt na granules, no? Yung mga granules, I think pinakita ko yun sa inyo. Because that Himalayan salt is so easy to carry with you anytime. It's so easy to take in. Kasi kapag powder kasi natutunaw. Kapag powder, medyo messy. But those granules, parang papakin. Pwede mo siyang papakin. Pwede mo siyang, sabi pa nga nila, parang gummy bears daw na pwede mong i-chew lang, let it melt in your mouth, no? At saka kapag nasanay ka na, it's actually masarap. So, it's good. Hello, Agnes! Welcome! Thank you so much for watching. Merry Christmas! Pupunta ka ba dito? I think merong naghihintay sa iyo dito. So, kailangan kang pumunta. Joseph Ricudo, much better healthy food or mix blend with fiber. Okay? Yes po. Tama po yan. Oy, na ano ata. So, before we move on, ano muna tayo? Let's greet others. And, thank you so much. Grabe naman mga papa-heart ni Miss Agnes. Yung other natin, na mga, your body is composed of cells. Yes, tama po yan. It's all composed of cells. Merry Christmas, Joseph Ricudo. Si M. Sanchez, sabi niya, 2 days na akong cheat doc. Mahapdi siya sa tiyan. 9 months LCIF na po. From 69 now to 49 kilograms na lang po, maintaining na lang. Okay, so meron akong sad news actually sa inyo. Hindi ko to na-share sa iba, but I am sharing this to you as our live audience right now. Kasi speaking of nag-cheat, no? Si M. Sanchez, LCIF siya for pila na? 9 months. And for us, we've been on low carb and fasting, no, majority of the time for the last 2 years, including Maming. And si Maming ngayon, alam nyo ba na nasa ospital? So, Maming is currently admitted sa hospital. And that is Dr. Ataha. Okay, so that's my friend, another housemate, Doc Jana May. So, si Maming, actually nasa ospital siya ngayon, na-admit. And she is due for operation tomorrow. At saka yung operation niya, alam nyo ba kung ano? It's about cholecystectomy. So, kailangan i-remove yung gallbladder niya. So, bakit kailangan i-remove ng gallbladder ni Maming? So, yun ba ay isang risk ng low-carb lifestyle, ng fasting lifestyle? Kasi meron siyang gallbladder stones, no? I think she is not the only one. I think meron tayo dyan, di ba, EJ? Hindi lang si Maming ang may gallbladder stone. But right now, it got complicated. Nag-obstruct sa kanyang tiyan, sa kanyang system, at kailangan na siyang operahan or else she will be in pain, no? So, if you can pray for her, please do pray for her. Also, with my brother Bapi, na-admitted din. So, na-admit silang dalawa, kaya hindi kami nakapag-celebrate talaga ng very much Christmas. And as much as I want to be with them, bawal din yung bisita sa hospital. So, that's why I am here with you. And, yon, before we proceed, sabihin ko na lang kung bakit si Maming nagkaganyan. Parang sabay siguro kayo or nauna pa si Maming mag-cheat sa iyo, EMS, kasi before she got the symptoms of abdominal pain, bago sumakit yung tiyan niya, yung huling-huling kinain niya ay isang slice ng chocolate cake na regular. So that was a very high carb cake, no? Matamis yung filling at saka custard yung between. Kinain niya ng sobrang bilis. And after that, she ate and followed it up with 4 barbecue sticks ng pork. And nung panahon na yon, sumasama na yung pakiramdam ni Bapi, yung brother namin na with special needs, no? With Down syndrome. So, she has to worry. Kailangan niya umalis agad at umakyat sa room nila. Ganon, right after there, sobraan ata kabilis yung pagkain niya. And sumakit agad yung tiyan niya after around 15 minutes. At hindi na siya na-relieve. So, dinala na namin siya sa hospital after 2 days at doon nakita nga with the emergency ultrasound na meron pala siyang 4 na stones na at yung isa 1.7 centimeter. So parang mas malaki pa sa kuko ko. So ganun nakalaki yung isang stone. And then you might worry na baka yung this lifestyle ay makakalid sa gallstone formation and cholecystitis o infection ng gallbladder. Actually, to be fair, hindi talaga. You are all safe and sound. But maming, around 3 years or 4 years ago, na-diagnose na siya actually, even way before we start. So, alam nyo na we only started this way of life around 2 years ago. But around 3 or 4 years ago, nakapag-ultrasound na siya and meron na nakitang stones. And siya mismo naka-remember na 4 pa rin yung mga stone na yon, no? So, hindi na siya lumaki, hindi na siya dumami. So, during those times, she was asymptomatic, meaning walang symptoms, parang wala lang during that whole time. However, it is there. Hindi rin naman ito natutunaw ng basta-basta. The last time na naka-feel siya noon was that all those times 4 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I think bago pa lang ako sa residency noon. And it stabilized. So maybe who knows, it might be biased to say na our way of life helped her na to delay this long. But eventually, kailangan talaga siyang kunin because gallbladder stones, by its name, para talaga siyang bato. And wala pang current studies if fasting or how long do you need to fast para matunaw yon. So as you know, Maming was fasting also. The longest fast she had, I think, was 7 days. And then a couple of 2 to 4 days na fast. Okay? But hindi siya as frequent faster as I am and as my sister na mas always as regular yung fasting. So, she eats and kasalanan din. I will take accountability, no? Pananagutan ko yan. Kasi ako yung nagro-grocery at nagdadala ng mga pagkain sa bahay. So, sorry talaga, Maming, kung dinalahan kita ng slice of cake na yon. Kasi sometimes we know na it can also bring happiness. Yung a little enjoyment talaga, those high carb. But sa ngayon, halos kaming lahat, sumusumpa na talaga na we can never be complacent when it comes to the effects of how a little cake, a little sugar, because who knows kung ano ang maybe that was just the last straw. And Maming admitted also na for the last few days pala, from time to time, may mga nag-i-invite na kain somewhere, nakakakain talaga ng konting carbs from time to time. So, that is one of the deadliest combination. And that is actually the reason why our topic right now is about the effects of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, especially when you consume them all together. At kasi, mahirap yan, it's because seldom lang yung mga pagkain na isolated. Like, yung isolated siguro na taba is just oil or butter. It's pure fats. But when you say, like, a piece of cake, like yung kinain ni Maming, it is composed of mostly fats and carbohydrates and very, very little proteins. So, yung effect nun sa katawan, it will spike up your insulin. At the same time, it will stop fat burning. Kasi kapag merong insulin, yung alam natin, anabolic siya. So, hindi siya spending hormone, no? Parating siyang nagsisave. So, isi-save niya kahit yung taba na kinain mo. Isi-save niya yan for the rainy days. Gagawin niya yung taba. But, what it will result to is build up of fat. So, fat build up can be in many places. And one of those is yung pinakaalam natin, akala natin yung pagiging mataba lang ng tao, so they become fat. However, another very important site where it probably will build up na mas dangerous is our bloodstream. Kapag yung mga taba ay nasa bloodstream lang natin. But there is another form of fat metabolism na hindi natin famous. So, yung bile. So, yung bile o yung bile acid, yung abdo natin, yung abdo, yun yung sinostore yung bile acid, yun yung sinostore ng abdo natin or yung gallbladder. It is a storage galing sa liver para meron kang reserve. So that every time you eat fats, magsisecrete din siya ng konting bile acid. so that yung taba na kinain mo, it will be absorbed in your intestines. Kasi kapag walang bile acid, hindi makakapasok yung taba sa tiyan. Or makakapasok man, but in very limited amount and wala talaga. Hindi talaga siya makakapasok because our lining is lipid impermeable. Okay? Lipid impermeable meaning hindi siya pwedeng makakapasok. So, kailangan siya ng sasakyan. So, yung bile acid ay magsiserve as sasakyan para maipasok ito. However, as with the case with maming and kung sino pa ang kilala nyong may gallbladder stones or meron din tawag natin gallbladder sludge, no? Cholesterol sludge, meaning parang malapot na pwede siyang parang precursor into the formation of gallbladder stones. Hindi niya kapag kumakain ka, yung signal ng kinakain mo, yun mismo, yung kapag kumain ka ng taba, the moment na pumunta siya sa stomach mo, yun mismo yung magbibigay ng signal sa gallbladder mo para mag-contract, meaning to contract so that the bile acid will be excreted. Lalabas siya sa iyong stomach and then yung taba na kinain mo, ma-absorb niya and then it will carry it back to the liver. Okay? So, yung possibly we can just speculate na based on physiology, possibly yung nangyari kay maming, since supposedly if yung kinakain mo ay proteins and taba lang, so fats and proteins, yung gastric emptying time, yung paggalaw ng tiyan natin is supposedly slow because yung fats and proteins are complex molecules na may take time to get digested, and it's not bad. It's just how it works in science. So, normally, kapag kumakain ka ng very heavy meat na meal without much carbs, matagal gumalaw yung tiyan mo because it will take time to digest. Just enough sana na kapag nakapunta na sa intestines, sa small intestines yung kinain mong taba, timing lang, tamang-tama lang yung timing ng pag-secrete din ng bile acid. However, with combination, especially parang specialized combination yung pagkain ni maming, no? Kumain siya ng very high carb, which is the cake. And then after sinundan ng agad-agad ng fat. So, those combination, kasi yung cake hindi rin siya isolated na carbohydrates, meron din siyang fats. So, nag-contract. Sobra yung pag-contract ng kanyang gallbladder na eventually siguro sa sobrang lakas ng pag-contract niya, yung stone na nandun na sa loob for the last 3 or 4 years na push towards the bile, sa kanyang duct, sa bile duct. So, if ganito kalaki yung gallbladder natin, yung duct niya actually ganito lang siya kanipis or ganito lang. So, it's very fine. So, that's why yung 1 centimeter, 1.7 centimeter na stone, sobrang laki talaga for the ducts. And that's why it gets obstructed. So, kung meron kayong gallbladder stone and you want to go into this way of life, actually for me, hindi siya nakakatakot. But for traditional doctors, for most doctors who are not into low carb lifestyle, most likely sasabihin nila sa inyo na iwasan nyo yan. And of course, because that is way easy to be advised, no? Kasi it's made up of cholesterol fats, no? It's made up of cholesterol. It is even called as cholesterol stone. So parang it's common sense na it's cholesterol stone, so you limit your cholesterol intake. Partly that can also help, no, when it comes to more stone formation. But you have to make sure that you are not eating any fats alone, and we know that is not possible, and we know that is not even sustainable kasi maraming nutrients na makukuha sa mga high fat meals, no, and most of our ADEK, A, D, and K, vitamin A, D, E, and C, ba? ADEK, na vitamins are all oil-based, no, or fat-based. So, hindi pwedeng hindi ka kumain ng fats all your life. That is why it's not sustainable, and that is why for those na diagnosed with bile stones and bile sludge, you know na kahit in-advise pa kayo, eventually, it will just occur, it will just recur, and it might get even bigger, okay? So, yung pinakamalaking pagkakamali sa panahong ito is we almost forgotten, no, na meron palang gallbladder stone si Maming. Kung nalaman na natin siguro, maybe we could have made it as a commitment na never talaga to combine carbohydrates and at the same time fats, especially eating very fast. So eating slowly is another highlight of this obstacle, of this challenge that we can all get knowledge from, we can all learn from, okay? So yon, that's what happens if you can combine them. How about proteins and carbohydrates? So, remember, yung proteins na kailangan natin sa ating katawan is very minimal. It is said na ano lang siya, 0.5 to 0.8, no? Or kahit i-round off pa natin na 1 gram per kilogram of body weight, no? So, 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. So, if you are a 70 kilogram man, so actually 70 grams lang. So, imagine yung mga steaks na mga per slab natin, magkano? Yung iba, 300 grams, 250 grams, sobrang lalaki. So, actually, we are actually taking in more proteins than what our body needs. And if we eat these proteins together with carbohydrates, anong mangyayari? It can be processed and be converted into glucose, and at the same time, after reaching, no, of course, yung glucose natin sa katawan, hindi naman bumababa. So, actually, anything extra glucose na addition, it will really become extra glucose that can risk becoming elevated na pwede nang maging frank diabetes, mag-fall into diabetes, or abnormal increase in blood glucose. So, kapag sobrang glucose, anong nangyayari? It can be converted into fats, okay? So, gagawin siyang taba ulit ng ating katawan. So, yung proteins, meron siyang pathway na pwedeng ma-convert into fats, okay? From proteins, it can be converted through gluconeogenesis as to glucose. And yung glucose naman, meron naman siyang pathway naman na mako-convert into fats, okay? So, as much as possible talaga, hindi pwedeng may high carbohydrates, no? And how about kung isolated, hindi ka kakain ng fats, hindi ka rin kakain ng proteins, at pure carbohydrates lang, anong mangyayari sa'yo? So, in children, it is more evident, no? Alam nyo ba kung anong tawag dyan? So, it's also called malnutrition. So, ang tawag dyan ay kwashiorkor disease or kwashiorkor na malnutrition. Kasi dalawa yan. Kwashiorkor and ano yung na malnutrition. Nakalimutan ko. Yung isa, yung sobrang payat. So, yung typical picture na bata na butot balat. So, yun yung isang klaseng malnutrition wherein that child na butot balat is, ang tawag dyan, global malnutrition. Kinulang sa proteins, kinulang sa carbohydrates, kinulang din sa fats, okay? But kwashiorkor, yun yung tawag sa malnutrition na kinulang sa proteins. Purely carbohydrates lang. At alam nyo ba kung saan ito nangyayari? It's actually seen in children na pinapainom ng mga gatas na hindi design sa pangbata at yung mga gatas na sobrang lasaw, so sobrang dami ng tubig, at because kasi in poor countries yung gatas ay mahal, no? So yung ginagawa ng ibang mga mommies na medyo on budget talaga, nilalasaw nila, isang kutsara lang, and then ninadamihan nila ng tubig, and much more worse, no? Nilalagyan nila ng asukal so that it will taste sweet. So, the child actually will go into malnutrition kasi yung body niya, it will signal a lot of insulin. So, that is a signal hormone ng insulin na mag-i-instruct sa body mo to produce more, to build more. So, thank you po. Salamat na Marasmus pala. Kasi malayong-malayo na talaga ako sa PDA. That is actually the tragedy of going into subspecialty, na yung mga very basic na common terms in medicine, halos makalimutan ko na. Yes, Marasmus. So, that is yung tawag sa mga batang butot balat, yung term yan, marasmic. So, that is a marasmic child. So, global malnutrition yon. Whereas yung Marasmus, yung makikita mo, akala mo cute kasi sobrang taba, sobrang laki ng mukha, sobrang laki ng katawan, but actually that is very, very much dangerous. And actually, the child has more risk of dying when siya, kwashiorkor na malnutrition as compared to marasmic na condition. And it is because sobrang pinupush ng katawan niya to build more, but wala siyang building blocks like the proteins and amino acids. Kaya yung ginagawa niya, gumagawa siya ng taba, but wala siyang laman. It's made up of water. So, it's all water weight, and it's all water na edema, water edema. And that can also happen sa mga nagda-diet dyan na low-calorie diet but made up of carbohydrates purely, without proteins, without fats. So, sila din yon. Fortunately, sila din yung pinaka number 1 din na nakaka-benefit the moment they start low carb. Kasi pag nag-low carb sila, immediately, water loss. Kaya meron kayong naririnig minsan na 3 days pa lang naglo-low carb, halos 10 kilos na yung nawala. Kasi it's all water weight. Kasi they are all made up of, been deprived of good fats and good proteins and been eating lots of carbohydrates more than they need. So, yun yung mangyayari. So, if I have to choose, ano yung kakainin ko na isolated, mahirap. Hindi pa rin isolated. But, high fat diet with moderate proteins. Okay? It's important to do moderate proteins. Or kung natatakot ka mag-high fats, at least you do half and half. Half amount of the calorie that you need will come from carbohydrate, and half of that will be coming from proteins. Again, intake of glucose, eating sugary foods is non-essential biochemically. Hindi siya essential, meaning hindi kailangan gawin, mabubuhay kahit hindi gagawin, kahit hindi kakainin, simply because we are capable of making our own glucose through the process of gluconeogenesis na manggagaling sa proteins na you are eating, which is for sure, more likely than not, is more than what you need. Okay? So, ngayong Christmas season, you can take a break from all of this info. Baka ma-info overload kayo at baka masabihin nyo, wala na kayong kaligayahan dito. As for our tip for today, diba? If you've been following that, day 25 of 31, you savor everything. So, you may savor everything. Okay? So, I tried to do that this morning. Pag Noche Buena, meron dinala dito na Coke Zero. So, 0 calories, 0 sugar. Hindi talaga ako uminom yan. Kasi before, I believe na kung iinuman ako ng Coke, yung totoong Coke talaga, yung original taste and high carby, kahit isang lunok lang. But, hindi ko na rin nagawa yan. And since it was not available, and I think it was like an excuse that I can try taking it. I tried sipping one, pero hindi ko na talaga makaya. I have to force myself na lunukin yung 1 gulp of Coke Zero na yon, and I have to throw it out. And since I wanted something festive and something cold and something that I like so much, mas nag-crave ako sa apple cider vinegar na yung tawag ni Doc Fee, yung elixir niya, morning elixir niya, and it will actually taste like kombucha, yung tea, fermented tea drink. So that's why we call it apple cider vinegar kombucha, and without the sugar. I love the taste of it as long as super maginaw, super malamig. It's so yummy. So if you do feast, you can feast and savor everything, but just know yung impact niya sa katawan natin, okay? Based on studies, meron yang Eskimo na study before. Merong scientist noong 1960s or 40s ba yon, na natrap siya sa Atlantics, no? So, since natrap siya doon, na-forced siyang kumain ng kung ano lang kinakain ng mga Eskimo. And to his surprise, kasi American race and American medicine yung pinag-aralan niya, doon lang siya nagulat na yung mga Eskimos pala, hindi kumakain ng mga gulay. Because there's no produce around. Walang tumutubong gulay sa snow. Especially kapag nasa snow kayo, 365 days a year. All year round yung snow. Meron lang snow na meron lang time na mas malamig, but definitely all year round may snow, no? So, wala silang produce. kahit yung underwaters nila, wala ring mga seaweeds, wala ring mga ganyan. So, what they are actually eating the whole time ay pure animal diet coming from the sea. So, mga salmon, mga kung ano-anong mga isda, at mga even polar bear meat siguro or kung ano mang hinahunt nila. But the point is, they are eating purely proteins, purely fat diet. And after 6 months of staying there, of course, he felt really good. At to think na matanda na siya during that time, maybe 60 to 70 years old na, he was at the top of his health. And nung bumalik siya sa Amerika, pina-check niya yung laboratories niya. Sobrang ganda ng laboratory output niya. Actually, sobrang ganda ng kanyang laboratory, yung physical findings sa kanya, that he has to mimic it. He has to do a research na gusto niyang gayahin yung ginawa nila doon. But of course, in a controlled environment. So, yung ginawa nila, pinakain nila ng karne. All yung mga sets of volunteers na nakuha nila sa studies, pinakain nila ng karne. Karne lang the whole time. They did for 3 months siguro to. Basta shorter. But to their surprise, no, hindi maganda yung result. Hindi nila nakuha yung ganong result. The result was, there was still elevation. Parang normal diet lang. Parang yung normal diet na nakasanayan. But there was no improvement whatsoever as drastic as nung siya ay nasa Atlantis, nung namuhay siya kasama ng mga Eskimos. So, they investigated again. Tiningnan nila ulit yung ano na yon, yung studies na yon, and nakita nila na yung kinakain pa nila, although pure carnivore diet, but it was too much protein, okay? So, sobrang dami yung protein at halos wala palang fat. So, kinain pa nila yung karne lang, as in yung red meat lang talaga, and without the fats. And I think they've revised it again, and they've concluded that pure meat diet is not sustainable if you isolate or remove the fats. It should be what we say, fatty meats, no? Or fatty proteins. Yung naka-incorporate na meron talagang fat content. Because fat is essential for energy metabolism, no? Mas sustainable ang taba as a form of energy. As long as yung greatest lesson natin this Christmas, at least for us, no? For our family, is huwag na huwag isabay yung fats and carbohydrates. Most especially for those na may mga pre-existing condition na. Okay? Kasi kapag may pre-existing condition ka na, konting-konting push na lang, who knows, it can become an emergency, which exactly what happened to our beloved Maming. So, I'm not sure she's resting right now, but thank goodness to all the doctors and the staff there and all of my friends who are keep on visiting her and who is giving her the necessary anesthetic dose, no? So, she was on 24 hours. She is currently in 24 hours pain drip, no? Pain reliever lang siya. Naka-tramadol drip siya 24 hours to relieve her pain. So, at least, so that by tomorrow, her operation can go smoothly and can become very successful. So, you guys who are here, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much na you will pray. I know you will pray for her. So, ngayon, tingnan muna natin. Baka meron mga questions, no? Salamat EJ! Marasmus, ikaw pala ang nagkita nan. So, asset adekon, cause sa katawan pag sobra ang high carbs. Cause sa katawan kapag sobrang high carbs, yun yung favorite topic natin. Kasi nga, kapag high carbs, it's an anabolic. Akala natin, first, before I answer your question, asset, no? Ang intake of carbohydrate actually, it is a signal sa katawan natin na iisipin niya that it's already harvest season. Intake of high carbs, no, high carbohydrate food will make your body feel like it's in a harvest season. And by nature, since we are a practitioner and a believer of evolutionary perspective when it comes to way of life, yung harvest season, ideally, once a year lang. One season a year. So, maybe 2 to 3 months. And supposedly, kapag harvest season, dyan ka nag-iimbak. Just like in the animal kingdom, doon ka mag-iimbak. Just like in the ants, no? Kasi yun yung alamat, ang alamat ng ano ngayon, Bobby? Alamat ng grasshopper, ng tipaklong? Hindi, yung tipaklong na snail. ano yun, yung alamat ng grasshopper at ng ants, no? So, yung si grasshopper ay always lang jolly and hopping around and happy. At yung ants ay nag-iimbak, okay? So, para din yan tao. But we don't need, our body evolved in such a way na hindi mo kailangan mag-imbak sa loob ng bahay mo. But yung pag-iimbak na ginagawa ng katawan natin, nasa katawan natin mismo. And it is in the form of taba or fats, no? That's why if you, ang sobrang kain ng high carbs, ay magsisignal sa katawan mo that you are in a constant, sige-sige na state of pag-iimbak or saving for the rainy days. Rainy days or winter season na kapag hindi mo tinigilan ang pagkain ng carbs at hindi ka nagpa-fasting, yung rainy season, yung winter season na yan ay hindi darating. So, you are in a chronic phase of building up and storing up. And ano ang end result ng sobrang pag-iimbak? It will first, yung pinaka-obvious, lead to obesity or weight gain, no? Yun yung pinaka-obvious. But hindi lahat fat formers, okay? Hindi lahat nagpo-form, no? Yung iba, kahit sobrang dami na ng carbs, hindi pa rin nagpo-form ng taba. But it can build up somewhere else. High blood cholesterol, pwede mangyari sa kanila yon, okay? Another form would be tumors and cancer. So, wala nang paglalagyan ng kahit anong form of energy yung katawan mo kasi hindi siya fat former, but kailangan niya mag-imbak. So, it will go into other tissues or organs, but it will generate a new, more denser, mas dense na tumor, na cells na hindi normal, and it can grow and it can multiply and become cancerous or malignant. So, tumors and cancer formation, that can happen to you when you are in constant high carb intake. Another would be autoimmune diseases. Autoimmune diseases meaning yung nagkakaroon from chronic inflammation. So allergies is a form of inflammation na brought about then by too much carb intake. So marami sila. Yung iba nagkakaroon from the specifically for female, meron yung tinatawag nating PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, wherein yung mga tumor at cyst ay pinupuno niya yung ovaries ng babae. Okay? So, pinupuno niya yon. As a result, hindi na siya makaanak kasi hindi na siya nagme-menstruate at hindi na nagpo-function normally yung ovaries niya. So, those are just an overview kung anong mangyayari sa katawan mo kapag too much carbs and frequent, isolated, high carb intake yung katawan mo. And of course, not all carbs are created equal, sabi nga natin, no? So, if you have to eat carbs, eat the healthier ones and the nutrient-dense ones, yung maraming vitamins and minerals, pero mababa yung calorie na composition. So, yung sabi natin yung matubig lang, yung puro fibers lang, kasi although fiber is still a carbohydrate, but it is a non-soluble, no, insoluble fiber. Hindi siya pumapasok sa katawan natin. Pangpa-bulk lang siya ng ating pagkain for our bowel movement, for our morning routine, but hindi siya na-absorb and nako-convert into energy. So that is what we call as insoluble fiber or tawag natin dietary fiber. Okay? So ano ang mga pagkain na yan? So these are mostly vegetables growing above ground. So vegetables would include yung mga lettuce, pero yung mas gusto ko na ngayon talaga yung local na vegetables. So, alugbate, paborito yan, malunggay, kaya lang nakakapagod linisin at himay-himayin, and mga talbos ng kamote, yun, mga healthy yun at masasarap. So, I think we are almost done with our episode. Medyo na late tayo nagsimula. So, a little overtime lang din. Sino ang mga nag-God bless sa akin na yan? Ay, hello po, Ma'am Grace Gallo. So, Ma'am Grace Gallo is my, school paper advisor when I was in high school. Thank you so much po for always watching and supporting. And thank you so much to all of you guys. If you still have questions, I will still give time. Kung gusto nyo, I can still stay a little. If wala na din, okay lang. I can just see you this Monday. And I hope you will get to enjoy the weekend, enjoy the break with your family and friends. you always stay healthy, and as what we always say, you can fast as long as you can, and if you do it, you stay low carb so that you will stay safe. Maraming salamat sa lahat. Hello, Chloe, mahal. I love you so much, Ma'am Regina. Thank you so much po for watching. EJ, Ayeng, maraming salamat po. All of you. Sir Norwin, bye-bye. Merry Christmas po sa lahat. Merry Christmas kayo, Bobby. Merry Christmas! Bye-bye.